in this week's Torah portion, we literally can learn and study the entire Torah, because the Torah portion is called Mishpatim. So many laws are in this week's portion. I'm going to pick just one to discuss today, which is fascinating: the laws of a thief. So the Torah says, what happens if you steal $100? You steal $1 million. The Torah has no such a thing as jail. The Torah doesn't believe in the concept of jail. If a Jew, if a person, if a human being was given life by God, then he or she should utilize that life to live in its fullest. But to be in jail, the Torah doesn't believe in that. In fact, the only time we find in the actual Bible the concept of jail by Jews was in the desert. There was a Jew who violated the Shabbat, and the Jews put him into jail because they didn't know what to do with him. So temporarily, for a couple of days, till God said the punishment was death, that's when they put him in jail. But in general, the concept of jail doesn't exist. But if you have a thief that steals, he has to pay double. You steal $100, you have to pay double, you pay $200. What happens if you don't have $200? Then go work hard, and all your profits, whatever you make, goes to pay your debt. You steal $1 million, pay $2 million back. That's how the Torah views it. But look at this interesting law that I'm going to share on the screen right now. What happens if you steal money? That's what I said. But look at verse 37. If a person steals, shor is a bull, a cow, or seh, or a sheep. In those days, this was a very common thing. They used to slaughter it or sell it. So chamisha vakar yeshalem tachat hashol. Here the Torah says, no. You have an extra stringency. By the way, it's only with these animals. An extra stringency, and you have to pay 5 times the amount. But that's only for the shor, for the bull. But if we're talking about a sheep, you only pay back 4 times the amount. Now, this is very strange. Why is it that the Torah says for a bull you pay 5 times the amount, and for a sheep you pay only 4 times the amount, 20% less on your theft? So Rashi brings this explanation. It's right in front of me. Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, Chas hamakom al kvodam shel briot. Torah is very considerate of the honor of human beings. Shol sheholech beraglav, because what happens with this thief? This thief now steals a cow. The cow walks on its feet. He pulls it with a rope, and he steals it. But lo nitbazeh bo haganav, the gun of the thief has no shame. He doesn't have to carry it on its shoulders. The Torah says here you pay 5 times. But however, a sheep, where it doesn't pull so easily, you can't just pull it. That makes you chorus a trouble. So you have to carry it on your shoulder, because remember, the ganav needs to steal it fast. He can't mess around the sheep. He has to put it on his shoulder. He only pays 4 times, 20% less. Because he was shamed when he put it on his shoulder. Now, it doesn't make any sense. Why would the Torah care about the honor of a thief? I mean, the guy doesn't care about his own honor. Everybody knows the uncle stole a sheep. Yankel is the big benefit now. So now the Torah says, no, the fine, you don't have to pay the full fine of 5 times. You only have to pay 4 times, because when you stole it, you were embarrassed that you had to carry it on your shoulders. So here the Torah has a very interesting lesson. And the lesson is as follows. You see, the person, the author of this statement is Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The Talmud relates about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai that when he walked in the market, he would always say hello to somebody before that person greeted him. He would be the first person, Jew or Gentile, says the Talmud, to say, good morning, how are you? Good morning, sir, how are you doing? He would always do that. Always. He would always first approach you before you approach them. And he was a great rabbi, right? You should have approached him first. And the reason for this is because Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was extremely considerate for the honor of other people. And this is what the Torah wants to teach us here. That even a thief, you need to respect him. and honor him. Because the fact that he stole, maybe times are bad, maybe the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, grabbed hold of him and pulled him down. But you need to be considerate of him, you need to be loving of him, and you need to be considerate of the fact that he had to steal it on his shoulder, and that's why he pays 20% less. And it's specifically Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai who teaches us this lesson, because he was a person who was so considerate of the honor of other people by always greeting them first. There's a story of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. The Rebbe would always pray, in the olden days, upstairs in the small shul. And during the repetition of the Amidah, he would always focus on the word. So when the cantor, the Chazan, was reading, he would go like this, with his head on his hand, and he would look down at the siddur, concentrating immensely. The students who were there noticed that at some point, there were some days that the Rebbe would not go down like this. He would just go and just stare like this and look at the siddur like this, but he wouldn't go down. And the students tried to understand the pattern. One day the Rebbe is not going down, and another day no. And then 5 days would go by yes, and then 1 day no. And then 10 days would go by yes, he would concentrate immensely, and then he would go like this. And then one of the students realized, at that time in Brooklyn, New York, there was an individual who had a terrible deformity, deformed face. He had a terrible wounds on his face. He was born that way. And they realized that whenever this person was praying in 770 by the Rebbe's minyan, the Rebbe would always look up. You would never look down, in order not to embarrass that person, in order not to let that person think that the Rebbe doesn't want to stare at him, doesn't want to look at him. By going like this, the Rebbe would stare and look straight ahead and not go down. Because chas v'shalom, to disrespect somebody, or chas v'shalom, not to let somebody feel that you're not honoring him, and not loving him, you don't care about him, and you're not considerate for him. What an incredible lesson. Torah teaches us, even a thief, respect him, honor him. Realize that he was shamed by carrying the sheep on his shoulders. Tremendous lesson for us. We need to honor, respect, love every single person. As it says in Hayom Yom, when you love a fellow Jew, you're loving God. It's the same thing. Because what does God love most? His children. You love his children, you love God himself.